As Chancellor, I will have both the opportunity and indeed the obligation to provide forward-looking leadership and make UCSF a model for the country at a time of such great opportunity.
We broke ground, we just did it.
The lives that will save, the lives that will touch, that's the essence of what a real hospital is about.
When families walk in, they feel safe. And it is that safety that will really help us to improve health outcomes.
I think the spirit of San Francisco is what you see at UCSF. UCSF was the recipient of more NIH dollars than any other institution in the country, and that's because they deliver.
People from around the corner and around the world come to UCSF Health for world-class care every single day.
What an amazing time it is to be in biomedical science today. We're now entering this era of precision medicine.
The quantum leaps in science come from creative, new, unintended observations from things you didn't expect.
The time is right for convergence of ideas across multiple different fields.
We're really at the epicenter of the AI revolution. We can use AI to help make predictions about the treatments we should be developing.
Anything is possible.
That's, to me, what UCSF is all about. Doing the best research, but not stopping there. Every new innovation happens one patient at a time.
COVID-19 has been called the great revealer in terms of how much the social determinants of health shape who gets sick and who dies from this disease.
It's a scary and unique feeling to share with a patient that we don't necessarily know who's going to get better or who's going to get worse.
There really was two pandemics. One, the killing of Black men and women in the United States, and the COVID pandemic. I really see that COVID was a catalyst for change.
I learned that there's hope amongst all of us that are showing up every day.
I just feel really proud to be part of this institution, proud of how we came together to tackle some hard realities.
One of the things we know from HIV is that it takes a community to end a pandemic.
Healthcare can really embrace taking services beyond our clinic walls and into the community.
I think health is an objective metric of social justice.
Diversity is what we all bring with us, and all of that shapes who we are and our perspective.
We think a lot about the secret sauce that makes UCSF such a special place, and the secret sauce really is the people.
We are going to look back several decades from now and say that we were on the verge of a golden decade in science. Will the class of 2024 please rise? Thank you. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to my 2024 State of the University Address. In July, I marked a personal milestone, my 10th year as Chancellor, and what a privilege it has been to serve UCSF in this role. Over the past months, I've been reflecting on what this decade has meant for UCSF, the growth we've experienced, the challenges we've faced, and the direction in which we're headed. As I thought about this year's State of the University Address, one word kept coming around and surfacing: momentum. Now, momentum is a concept drawn from the world of physics. It is defined as the product of mass and velocity. Mass, to me, represents UCSF's strength and depth, the substance and commitment that define who we are. Velocity speaks to the energy, the urgency, and the intentionality of driving our mission forward. So together they create momentum, an irresistible force that propels us, shaped by the substance of who we are and what we've built together, amplified by the speed at which we pursue these new possibilities. For me, momentum perfectly captures the journey we've shared as a community over the last decade. Now, when I delivered my first State of the University address in 2014, I made the case that we were at an inflection point in our history that required us to have thoughtful adaptation to future forces that were reshaping our environment back then. Yes, that's me, 10 years ago, nervously addressing you for the first time. Now, 10 years later, I'm perhaps a little less nervous, but not that much. But I'm even more excited to be your chancellor. I believe the premise of my 2014 address has been borne out. Together, over the last decade, we have navigated a decade of growth and resiliency, a decade of innovation and technology, a decade of community and partnerships, and a decade of disruption and recovery. By nearly every measure, this has been a decade of historic growth associated with strong financial resiliency. One need only to review the numbers to realize how far we've come. So starting with our people, our workforce has grown from 22,000 full-time teammates in 2014 to more than 36,000 in 2024. This represents 14,000 new jobs, as well as thousands more for contractors and construction workers. Numbers are but one measure, but resiliency in our workforce will only be truly achieved when we reflect the diversity of our state and everyone believes they belong. We are making great progress towards achieving these goals. We are working to create a recruitment process for faculty and staff designed to disrupt unconscious bias and to ensure outstanding candidates from historically underrepresented groups are actively pursued. And we are boosting efforts to support overall well-being, including offering mental health assessments, treatment, and resources for those who need it. Sustaining a unity of purpose, everyone believing in what we're doing, is important as we currently serve and increasingly serve diverse communities across an ever-expanding physical footprint throughout the Bay Area and in the Central Valley. One of the most visible examples of this decade of growth can be seen in UCSF's changing landscape in San Francisco itself. This map shows the facilities we have opened or started to build since 2014. These new state-of-the-art buildings, designed by award-winning architects, represent a new era of research, healthcare, and education at UCSF. We are providing our patients, families, scientists, clinicians, staff, and learners with the very best possible places to heal, work, discover, live, and learn. Incorporating the latest in technology, equipment, lighting, and sustainable green building design, these new facilities have elevated and expanded our work across many disciplines, ranging from cancer to neurosciences, psychiatry, and ophthalmology, among others. I want to thank the many teams across UCSF and UCSF Health, led by Brian Newman, who have spent years planning, working with neighbors, the city, developers, contractors, and partners to make these modern facilities a reality. I'm pleased to say that 25 years after the groundbreaking at Mission Bay in 1999, we have built just over 4 million gross square feet of clinical, research, education, and housing on this vibrant campus. Our investment has totally transformed this once neglected neighborhood of San Francisco. Across town, we have now turned our attention to Parnassus Heights. In 2021, the UC Regents amended a resolution passed more than 50 years ago that froze the size of our historic Parnassus campus to what it was in 1976. With this amendment, the Regents paved the way for much-needed modernization and expansion. More on this later. Now, we have been mindful to mitigate all this new construction by taking actions to reduce the impact on our environment. While UCSF's overall campus footprint has grown 18% in square footage over the past decade, our operational and carbon footprint, including building energy uses and transportation, has decreased by 34%. I want to thank those involved in our sustainability efforts, especially Gail Lee for her stewardship throughout the years, as we welcome Kira Stoll, our inaugural Chief Sustainability Officer, to UCSF. Just last month, we learnt the UC Center for Climate Health and Equity, led by UCSF in partnership with Berkeley and San Diego, received one of the National Institutes of Health P20 Center Awards. The project will use a precision climate and health approach to generate rigorous scientific evidence about how climate change leads to poor health outcomes. So my congratulations to Ariana Tarani and Sherry Weiser, who are leading this effort. In addition to people and facilities, UCSF's total revenues have increased by a remarkable 130%, from $4.9 billion in 2014 to now exceeding $11 billion. How have we achieved this? First, our amazing research faculty earned $20 billion from more than 21,000 sponsored awards over the last decade. From curiosity-driven discovery science, still and forever the bedrock of our research mission, to translational, clinical, policy, and global research, our programs unlock new insights into the human condition and improve the health and welfare of people around the world. A case in point is our Institute for Global Health Sciences, now led by Payam Naheed, which will celebrate its 25th anniversary next year. The Institute deploys more than 370 employees in 50 countries in partnerships to improve health worldwide. Recently, the Institute was awarded a cooperative agreement from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention as one of the nation's 10 regional centers for public health preparedness and response. Now, our entire research community has been successful in securing many new funding opportunities as they have arisen over the last decade. Just this year, our faculty were awarded 3 large, highly competitive grants from the Advanced Research Projects Agency for Health. Known as ARPA-H, this new federal agency supports transformative biomedical and health breakthroughs ranging from the molecular to the societal. We have received 3 of these large new grants in the last year, with, I suspect, more to come. Our ARPA-H grants have been awarded to Wendell Lim, who is funded for a project to build a molecular GPS to guide cell therapies. Jamie Fraser for a project to enable the Avoidome to accelerate drug discovery. And Mikhail Anwar for a project to develop a powerful mini microscope for precise tumor removal. So my congratulations to Wendell, Jamie, and Mikhail and their teams for this incredible success. All of our research funds, now approaching $2 billion a year, are vital for training our learners who represent the next generation of leaders in health and science. Second, We are fortunate for the unprecedented support we get from our donors. Each of the nearly 500,000 gifts made to UCSF over the past decade has a personal story attached to it, and every single gift has made a difference in people's lives. Of the many, let me highlight just one appropriate for the building we are in today. A gift from two of our most generous supporters, Mark and Lynn Benioff, enabled us to launch the UCSF Child and Adolescent Psychiatry Portal, or CAP, in 2019. I'm thrilled to share that as of this year, CAP has expanded its scope statewide and is now known as the California Child and Adolescent Mental Health Access Portal, or CalMAP. Led by Petra Steinbushel in UCSF's Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences, the program is now primarily funded by the California Department of Healthcare as a component of the CalHOPE program. But this expansion from a seed gift to a statewide plan is a testament to the role of philanthropy as a generative resource for follow-on funding. Another important impact of philanthropy is making health sciences education more accessible by decreasing the average graduation debt borne by our professional students. This year, bucking recent trends, student debt decreased in 5 of our 7 programs. The total aid we were able to award met 64% of all of our students' financial needs. And in the School of Medicine, 100% of the financial need was met. Now, more needs to be done to support our learners, but this is great progress, and I thank our donors for getting behind it. Now, the third major driver of our financial growth is our clinical enterprise, UCSF Health. It has expanded from 2 hospitals in San Francisco in 2014 into a healthcare system comprising 8 hospitals and many clinics throughout the Bay Area in 2024. Today, UCSF Health accounts for 64% of our overall budget. More important than the growth in revenue is that we have been able to increase our capacity to provide high-quality care to twice as many patients as we did in 2014. Of course, the number of actual patient visits far exceeds these numbers, and our clinicians also see hundreds of thousands more patients at Zuckerberg San Francisco General Hospital, the San Francisco Veteran Affairs Hospital, and at UCSF Fresno. This expanded access matters to the patients who trust us with their care. The quality of that care has never been higher, as determined by outside ranking agencies. So let me highlight just one clinical program that reflects these high standards. For the first time in the history of the UCSF lung transplantation program, the team performed 116 transplants in 2024. To put that in perspective, just 3 other programs in the US perform more than 100 transplants a year. The UCSF lung transplant program, which marked 1,000 transplants in 2022, remains the only program in the US with better than expected outcomes continuously for over 13 years. So congratulations to Surgeon Jasleen Cook-Raja and her team, and my deep appreciation to all of our frontline healthcare teams and the many people who support them. Now, we also welcome many new clinicians and staff to UCSF Health over the past decade. UCSF Benioff Children's Hospital, Oakland, joined our health system in 2014, solidifying our commitment to continue the traditions of this vital safety net hospital. And this year, we acquired 2 San Francisco hospitals, St. Francis and St. Mary's. Connecting both of those hospitals with UCSF's highly rated clinical expertise will improve already strong patient outcomes, quality, and safety. By adding St. Francis and St. Mary's hospitals and opening new medical office buildings, ambulatory surgery units, imaging and infusion centers throughout the entire Bay Area, more patients will be able to get the care they need closer to their home or work. The UCSF School of Dentistry is also expanding its clinical services beyond Parnassus Avenue. The Dental Center now serves several Bay Area hospitals, including Laguna Honda, Highland Hospital, San Francisco Veteran Affairs Medical Center, Zuckerberg San Francisco General Hospital, and UCSF Benioff Children's Hospital, Oakland. To improve the quality of care and experience for our patients, the dental school moved to a common electronic health record with UCSF Health last year. This allows us to better integrate dentistry with overall health care, improve the coordination of care, and make patients' oral health data accessible to all of our clinicians and researchers. Now, as I look back over the last decade of growth, the most important thing is not the metrics, impressive though they are, but it is the ambition that that growth reflects. An ambition to have an impact, spur innovation, and raise the bar. An intentional, sustainably executed growth strategy supports our ambition, it feeds our culture, and it attracts the very best to UCSF. People want to join and be part of a thriving, growing organization. Now, to say that this has also been a decade of innovation and technology is an understatement. In my 2019 State of the University address, I ended with the concept of the exponential age, an age in which technological innovation is occurring so fast that there is little time between the waves of innovation for us to adapt and stabilize. The idea that we are indeed experiencing an exponential age with both its opportunities and its anxieties has been reinforced by the need to rapidly innovate and respond to the COVID pandemic, but even more so with the recent advent of generative AI. So let's look how we have adapted our programs over the last decade. Here are just 3 examples. To strengthen our capabilities in computation and data science, we started the Baker Computational Health Science Institute in 2014 to unite a community of thinkers that are interested in this field of data science. Led by Atul Boot, this UCSF-based institute is also home to the UC System-Wide Health Data Warehouse, a repository of all health record data from Davis, Los Angeles, Irvine, San Diego, and Riverside. This data set, one of the largest academic health databases in the country, is helping us to predict and prevent disease states across the lifespan. A second example, in 2016, we joined forces with Stanford and Berkeley to form a new research institute thanks to funding from the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, a philanthropic organization founded by Priscilla Chan, a UCSF alumna, and her husband, Mark Zuckerberg. Led by UCSF's Joe DeRisi, the Chan Zuckerberg BioHub San Francisco has built powerful collaborative programs in bioengineering and computational sciences to address fundamental questions in biology and emerging threats to human health. During the last decade, the BioHub developed a groundbreaking tool called CZID that can detect pathogens using sequencing data that is accessible for analysis from anywhere in the world. From monitoring ongoing SARS-CoV-2 variants to detecting possible emergence of new pathogens, CZID is an important and unique tool for disease detection worldwide. It has made a significant difference for scientists and public health practitioners in low and middle income countries, which frequently bear the heaviest burdens of infectious disease, yet lack accessible tools to aid in analysis and diagnosis. I'm excited to announce today that we are in the process of transferring this uniquely powerful metagenomic pipeline from CZI to UCSF. More details will be announced in 2025. We will expand and grow this tool to support analysis for researchers around the world, while also providing incredible opportunities for scientists across UCSF to use this rich resource for research. A third example, to address the growing importance of the physical sciences, think engineering, computer science, mathematics, physics, to the ongoing advances in the life sciences, we established the Quantitative Biosciences Institute, or QBI, in the UCSF School of Pharmacy in 2016. Led by Nevin Krogan, QBI fosters collaborations across the biomedical and physical sciences, seeking quantitative methods to address pressing problems in biology and biomedicine. The impact of QBI has been immediate. In 2022, scientists from QBI and international collaborators were awarded nearly $68 million from the National Institutes of Allergy and Infectious Disease to support its mission of pandemic preparedness and viral therapeutics. To promote all of this innovation, we have put renewed emphasis on transferring our technology to commercial partners and to companies coming out of UCSF. We opened a new office called Innovation Ventures in 2017 to facilitate this effort. Now led by alum David Morris, Innovation Ventures supports the transition of UCSF discoveries out of the lab and into the marketplace with more fully developed ideas and a greater confidence of success. Since 2014, we have issued 3,000 patents and started 102 new companies based on UCSF science. These companies have raised $4.2 billion and have a current market valuation of $22 billion. In 2023 alone, Innovation Ventures oversaw 12 new UCSF startup companies. These examples of our adaptation to the innovation occurring all around us and across the globe over the last decade are no doubt critical to our future. But indeed, it is fair to ask, have we been bold enough? And have we made the right bets? Lots to think about going forward, but it goes without saying that we must continue to invest in tomorrow's opportunities and technologies. Now, as a public institution with a mission to advance health for all, UCSF has long recognized its obligation to improve the quality of life for everyone in our communities. Our public health mission has deep roots stemming back to 1873 with our partnership with San Francisco General Hospital. We are very pleased, and I was able to celebrate this last night with San Francisco General Hospital leadership, that this month, San Francisco voters overwhelmingly approved Proposition B, which will provide millions in new funding for essential upgrades to facilities. Forging relationships to improve the health and well-being of our communities remains a top priority. In 2019, UCSF joined a national movement to become an anchor institution, recognizing that to provide health care alone is not enough to uplift our communities. I thank Wiley Liu for her inspired leadership of what we now call the UCSF Anchor Institution Mission. As the second largest employer in San Francisco, the UCSF Anchor Institution Mission coordinates our resources and our efforts to address disparities and inequities that are obstacles to optimal health. we are focusing our efforts in 3 areas. First, to develop the local workforce, including our own employees. Second, to support small, locally owned businesses. And third, to invest in nonprofits that directly contribute to improving the lives of those living in under-resourced communities but find access to capital difficult. 4 months ago, we received a transformative gift from the Crankstart Foundation to create a workforce development program to train about 2,000 San Franciscan residents over the next 5 years for careers in healthcare, both at UCSF and elsewhere. The $14 million gift will support partnerships with local nonprofits to train community members for well-paid jobs as medical practice coordinators, medical assistants, and radiology technicians at UCSF. The initiative will provide career advancement for people from historically under-investigated communities in the Bay Area and for our own employees who are looking for advancement. Another important community program launched in the last decade is the UCSF Benioff Homelessness and Housing Initiative, which provides policy-oriented research about homelessness for local, state, and national policymakers and practitioners. In 2023, Margot Cushell and her team published the California statewide study of people experiencing homelessness. This was the largest represented study of its kind in the US since the mid-1990s, aimed at finding practical solutions. In 2017, we established another key partnership, this time with UC Merced and UCSF Fresno, to strengthen healthcare and medical education in the San Joaquin Valley. After receiving a base budget augmentation of $15 million annually from the state in 2020, the UCSF School of Medicine was able to develop an integrated 8-year baccalaureate MD program based entirely in the San Joaquin Valley. We achieved another milestone in 2023 when the first San Joaquin Valley Prime Plus Baccalaureate class of 15 students, all from the Central Valley, matriculated at UCSF at UC Merced with conditional acceptance to our UCSF Medical School in Fresno. Our goal is to increase the class size from 12 to 50 and eventually shift the MD granting institution from UCSF to UC Merced. In future years, I hope we can expand this partnership to include our other professional schools. I thank UC Chancellor Juan Muñez for his enthusiastic leadership in this productive partnership. So to summarize this chapter of our past journey, we are proud to be part of the communities that surround us and support us, and we are not separate from them. It is imperative that we never lose sight of our obligation to invest in, engage with, and support our communities whenever and however we can. In my first State of the University address in 2014, I predicted that we would be entering a phase demanding new levels of trust and empathy amongst us all. Little did I know what lay before us. Over the past decade, we've confronted 2 deadly infectious diseases that required individual and institutional courage and rapid, coordinated responses across the campus, the health system, and with our community partners. During my first year as Chancellor, the World Health Organization declared the Ebola outbreak in Africa as a public health emergency of international concern. Within months, UCSF became the only medical center in San Francisco and just one of 35 across the entire country to be designated as a national Ebola treatment center. Our fast response and teamwork helped set the stage for what would follow in early 2020, a global pandemic of epic proportions. All of us at UCSF can be proud of how we responded to and recovered from the COVID-19 pandemic, a tribute to what can be done when we work together. Most importantly, the pandemic taught us that working with our community partners, especially the San Francisco Department of Public Health, led by UCSF alum Grant Colfax, was vital for a coordinated response that saved lives and addressed disparities. Post-pandemic, we continue to address barriers to health equity. This work was advanced in 2018 when UCSF Health established a council to ensure that health equity is a strategic priority. I thank Malcolm John and Wiley Liu for their work as co-chairs of this important council. Now, disruption also came in my first year as chancellor in the form of demonstrations spurred by the deaths of Black Americans at the hands of police in 2014. Responding to this national trauma, the UCSF School of Medicine Dean Talmadge King and then Executive Dean Catherine Lucy launched the Differences Matter initiative in 2015. We are seeing very positive results from these school-based initiatives and through the campus-wide anti-racism initiative launched in 2020 under the leadership of Vice Chancellor Renee Navarro. I thank Renee for her thoughtful leadership of the Office of Diversity and Outreach, which will celebrate its 15th anniversary next year, and to everyone working to create a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive environment at UCSF and beyond. To help us foster inclusivity and belonging at UCSF last year, we named Eddie Ruiz as our inaugural Assistant Vice Chancellor of Climate and Belonging. In this role, Eddie is leading initiatives that include conducting a community climate survey of all faculty, staff, and learners to better understand their personal experiences working and learning at UCSF. Conducted every 3 years, the next climate survey will launch in early 2025, next year. I look forward to your feedback on how to make UCSF a better place. Now, over the last year, the Middle East crisis, which began with a horrendous Hamas terrorist attack on Israel, has evolved into a regional war and a massive humanitarian crisis that continues. Sadly, at UCSF and on university campuses around the country, passionate differences of opinions surrounding this conflict have been associated with anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and other forms of hate. There is no place for hate and discrimination of any kind at UCSF. We have significant work to do in the coming months and years to restore trust in and empathy for one another and to enable dialogue across differences. One of our distinguishing traits of our community members who come to UCSF from so many points around the world, from different cultures and lived experiences, all are welcome here. What we know is that our diversity enriches us, not only the work we do together as a university, but also individually as people. We must rediscover the essential truth of our diversity. It offers so many strengths that we can harness to achieve extraordinary things together. But without care, our differences can lead us to division. So as we reflect on the past year and prepare for the one ahead, we will increase our focus on creating the psychological safety needed for everyone to feel that they belong and are welcome at UCSF. Now, in ending my look back over the last decade, I accept that disruptions and shocks to our culture, our operations, and our very way of life are perhaps inevitable. Equally inevitable, we, myself included, have made mistakes in our reactions and our responses. The truly important issue is that we remember and learn from these disruptions, the good and the bad, so that we can move forward stronger as a community. So turning now to the question of where are we going? In his play, The Tempest, William Shakespeare introduced the phrase, "What's past is prologue." In contemporary use, this phrase stands for the idea that history sets the context for the present and the future. I believe what's past is prologue fits the moment we are in now, just as it did in 1611. Building on the last decade of work, innovation must remain our North Star. The pace of change is such that without an intentional focus on emerging technologies and innovation, we will fall behind. Now, this sounds very straightforward, but our traditions and the urgency of the day often get in the way. Last year, I talked at length about how we are preparing for the new reality of an AI-augmented world. Now, a year later, I believe deploying AI responsibly and at scale across our mission areas will be one of the biggest challenges and opportunities of the next decade. To be successful, we will need to focus on talent and infrastructure. A big part of the work in the coming years will be to ensure that we have the right mix of discipline represented in our faculty and staff, and that they and our learners are prepared to use these new platforms effectively and responsibly. In the last 2 years, we have started graduates and master's programs to train the next generation across these emerging disciplines. We will continue to build on partnerships with UC Berkeley and others in these efforts. Now, the main takeaway, as I described last year, coming out of our AI retreats in 2023 and 2024, is the need to revamp and expand our high-performance computing resources. Let me provide a brief update on this effort, and in doing so, call out the exceptional leadership of Mandy Terrell, our Associate CIO for Research. Mandy is leading our efforts to set up a specialized data center designed to accommodate our high-performance computing and storage needs, including the latest GPU models. By collaborating with the Gladstone Institute, we are ensuring that our setup not only meets but exceeds our initial projections. Our enhanced computing power will support a wide range of AI-driven applications, from data extraction and validation to visualization, multimodal data analysis, and clinical decision support systems. We're on target to have this cluster up and running in the first quarter of 2025. Early in the new year, UCSF Health will begin strategic planning for the next 5 years. I am sure that the role of AI and digital transformation will be an integral part of this plan to both improve healthcare and reduce the administrative burden of that care. Building off the panel discussion we had at last year's address, I'm pleased to announce that next month we will roll out an AI scribe functionality to every ambulatory care physician at UCSF Health. Just as we will see transformation in our research and clinical environments over the next decade, it is a given that the changes will be big, perhaps bigger, in the education and training space. So much more to come on this in future years. Before I move on from the topic of innovation, I want to be clear about one thing. AI and digital transformation need to be just one facet of a larger innovation strategy for the next decade. Curiosity-driven discovery science will remain the wellspring of innovation in our research environment. We must continue to be bold and recruit the truly curious, those who are working on the very edge of existing knowledge. Now, I've said that a growth mindset served us very well over the last decade, and we have every reason to assume this will be true for the next. Now, of course, there are many aspects to a growth strategy. I've touched on the need to be intentional about adding the right talent and infrastructure to take advantage of emerging technologies and scientific ideas. We will also invest in new facilities that will support our growth in clinical research and education. As mentioned earlier, the next decade will see a transformation of our century-old Parnassus campus. We are currently building the Baker Academic and Research Building, or BRAB, on the site of the former University Hall to spur innovation in research and education. This building will be home to cross-disciplinary programs that use advanced technologies and a unique data sharing model to support a community of researchers and clinicians as they work towards solutions together. By restructuring traditional research silos, discoveries and insights can come together in this brilliantly designed new building. Let's hear from one faculty member's enthusiasm for this project.
My name's Katara Wilder. I'm an assistant professor at UCSF in the Department of Bioengineering and Therapeutic Sciences. So our lab, we are focused on the immune system and immunity in the lung during infections. One of the questions that I really got interested in during the pandemic was how the immune system becomes harmful to the body and what are the mechanisms that allow that to happen. One of the things I really like about being here at UCSF is that people study different organs. They're thinking about it from different perspectives. When I first started, I was able to have conversations with Chris Hernandez, and he was actually working on a microbiome project. Curious enough, he had these mice. He was willing to give us the lungs. And so I was able to then ask questions on how the gut microbiome can impact the lungs. Doing a deep dive in the research, I found out that there's actually a microbiome in the lung. Who would have known? I didn't. And the lung microbiome actually does interact with the gut. And so now we're going to be able to ask a lot of questions about this system. It's also a great opportunity for me being here specifically at UCSF because of our interactions in close proximity with the microbiome center that Susan Lynch runs. And so we will actually be on the same floor of them when we are in the BRAP building in a few years. Another reason I'm really excited about moving into the BRAP space is because of the communal spaces. I was actually having a conversation with a colleague about Albert Einstein and how some of his ideas actually came from just drinking coffee at a cafe and just talking to his colleagues. And so having more of those types of spaces where not just me, but my trainees can just think creatively, think outside of the box without constriction. I really think that's going to happen when we move into this space. So I'm really excited about it. I wish it was sooner. Can we speed this process up?
Tara, I'm with you. I'd love to speed the process up, and I'll have a word with Brian Newman after the talk here. So when it opens in 2028, this building will also house the UCSF School of Nursing, driving advances in clinical practice, health equity, and graduate level education. Our new School of Nursing Dean, Carol Dawson-Rose, will lead these planning efforts. To meet our strong patient demand, it is important that we expand our clinical presence to provide access for patients wanting to receive care from UCSF. The iconic new UCSF Helen Diller Hospital on the east end of the Parnassus campus is now under construction, with doors to open in 2030. We are also planning a new facility to house a cutting-edge UCSF proton therapy center and primary and specialty care clinics in the Dogpatch power station development in southeast San Francisco, very close to where we're standing today. This building will also house one of the largest academic incubators in the US for scientific startup companies that will benefit from proximity to our researchers and scientific cores. Further adding to our momentum, I'm pleased to announce that the funds needed to build a ferry terminal adjacent to our Mission Bay campus have been obtained, capped off by a $55 million grant from the EPA Clean Ports Project. To show that I'm patient, I committed support and funding for this project in 2017 to the late Mayor Ed Lee, and I'm so pleased to see his vision now realized. When it opens in 2028, the ferry service will add a much-needed all-electric commute option, the first all-electric ferries in the US. Across the bay, work has begun on our new $1.5 billion hospital building at UCSF Benioff Children's Hospital, Oakland, to provide state-of-the-art child-centered care to families from all socioeconomic backgrounds. The new hospital, planned to open in 2031, will offer a much-needed 20-bed inpatient behavioral health unit. In 2025, we will select a site for a new home for our UCSF School of Dentistry and for an education hub that incorporates the technologies needed for a 21st century professional education. Now, this may seem to be an ambitious capital plan, and for sure it is. But all these new facilities will keep us competitive for the most talented faculty, staff, and learners from around the world. While this mission-centered campus expansion is exciting, we have two very large facility challenges to address in the next decade and beyond. First, we must bring all of our buildings into compliance with the Regent's seismic safety policy. Second, we have complex and very expensive work to be done to decarbonize our campus by 2045. This is the right thing to do to slow climate change. These challenges are enormous, but addressing them will be a priority for us going forward. Now, our bold plans for the next decade assume our financial model is strong and resilient. UCSF Health and the academic part of our enterprise have different but highly interrelated business models. Each fall, we undergo a comprehensive 10-year planning process anchored upon the prior fiscal year close and on hundreds of pressure-tested assumptions around future revenue and expense trends. We completed the 2024 10-year plan last month. It incorporates all the approved building projects, a comprehensive debt model, and projects strong financial performance for both UCSF Health and the academic campus for the next decade. The projections include annual revenue growth from $11 billion in 2024 to $22 billion in 2034, with revenues exceeding expenses in every year throughout the decade. Now, the Enterprise 10-year plan is reassuring, but it hides pockets of financial stress in certain mission areas that will have to be managed. In some cases, this may include rejecting legacy assumptions around funding sources and transforming funding models. As I have stated, philanthropy has become a critical part of our financial model. Indeed, it is now the third largest source of revenue after reimbursement for clinical care and research contracts and grants. We are enormously grateful for this support. Taking on visionary grand challenges, being effective stewards of the funds given to us, and making sure our work has a positive, meaningful impact on the communities we serve are the best ways to secure support into the next decade. Demonstrating value and impact has never been more important as we strive to bolster our cultural and intellectual capital and build trust and support for our work among the public and our many stakeholder communities. Just like the last decade, the next will surely bring us disruptions, some predictable and some currently unforeseen. Issues like cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, campus safety, demographic changes, issues of belonging and burnout, and meeting demands to solve real-world challenges, such as the social drivers of health and prosperity, will require our attention over the next decade. We can also expect continuing challenges to academic freedom and trust in science. A 2023 Gallup survey of US adults found that Americans' confidence in higher education has fallen sharply over recent years, from 57% in 2015 to just 36% in 2023. And trust in science itself has seen similar declines over the last few years. Addressing this existential threat is one of the largest challenges, I believe, for academia in the next decade, and we must play our part. Anton Muscatelli, a scholar on the impact of research universities, recently wrote that, quote, "Research universities are traditionally depicted as supertankers, slow to turn due to their organizational complexity and the fact that they embody considerable historic and cultural persistence. But in a world which is increasingly uncertain and dominated by major shocks, our internal stakeholders, our students and our staff care more about how our university can be a force for good in this fragile world," end quote. So together, let's make UCSF less of a supertanker and more of a foiling sailboat capable of sailing faster than the wind. So I hope you agree that the narrative threads from 2014 to 2024 show a momentum that we can be proud of and a momentum that launches us into the next decade. Now let's turn from the thoughts of a septuagenarian to our future leaders on how they will shape the next decade.
When I think about the next 10 years in medicine, I often reflect on some of the challenges that we face today.
Houselessness is happening right now. Health inequities are happening right now. It needs to be talked about, innovated on, and moved forward immediately.
There are restrictive laws all across the country that are restricting abortion access and gender-affirming care for kids. We see patients negatively being impacted by these laws every day.
Because the data is skewed towards the majority population, unless we intentionally identify questions for minority and underserved populations, they will continue to be left out.
In my field, the goal for the last 100 years has been to be able to precisely predict and manipulate protein function. We've yet to reach that goal, but we are at the precipice of getting there.
I'm extremely excited about using new and innovative technologies to be able to understand the biases within the data that we're training our models on. We have generative AI, we have large language models. We're able to dissect this data and optimize the care for minority and underserved populations.
I'm a fourth-year medical student in the San Joaquin Valley Prime program. I always grew up seeing the health disparities that were present throughout the Central Valley in watching my family have difficulty accessing care. Ultimately, my hope has always been to come back to the Valley in practice to help address the access to care gaps that exist there.
UCSF is one of the first to move their entire dental center over to the same medical record as the medical center. So I envision a world 5 to 10 years from now where we can correlate changes in the oral health of patients to changes in their medical health and intervene early, almost use the mouth as a window into a patient's overall health status.
Most diseases, their etiology, it manifests at the level of a protein. If we could design them, if we could predict their properties, that would be transformative. That could enable us to have more personalized therapies for cancer or metabolic diseases.
We really need to think about a system that isn't housed in these traditional hospital and clinic settings for folks who are traditionally left out. How do we adapt evidence-based care to be really meaningful? And so I see nursing really leading that charge.
I'm excited to see where UCSF goes over the next decade because I've had the opportunity to see just how far it's come. And I know, given its relationships and its caliber in technology, science, and clinical care, that it's unmatched in its ability to create the 21st century model for healthcare.
My lab is at this intersection between multiple technological developments. The rapid expansion of machine learning combined with our high throughput data. Now we can collect more data about a single protein in one experiment than people had collected over the entire course of scientific history. We are well into a genomic revolution.
There's always innovation happening all over in medicine. And particularly for OBGYN, I think education is at the key of so much of this, not only educating our providers to be inclusive caregivers in the future, but also educating our patients about what treatments are available to them and where they can access those.
The writing's on the wall. There's going to be other environmental crises, health crises. There is an urgency, and I'm just going to keep heading toward it.
I want to create a world that is safe and provides adequate care for all patients, regardless of their race, regardless of their ethnicity, regardless of their social determinants of health.
I want to create a world where gender-affirming care is accessible to all.
Where policy and technology come together to advance health worldwide.
Where the experiments that used to take a century now take a day.
Where innovations in health science are applied to communities that have been missing out historically.
It is our duty to continue this work.
So thank you, Ms. Hodge, Taylor, Jason, Ali, and Margot, sitting here in the front and will be available for the reception, for your inspirational words. Our future is in good hands, so thank you. So to close, I would like to share a few final thoughts. Last month, during an unusually warm week, as I was working on this address, I heard music wafting up from the Golden Gate Park during the Hardly Strictly Bluegrass Festival. This uniquely San Francisco event was founded and is endowed in perpetuity by the late Warren Hellman. Warren was a dynamic San Francisco business leader, philanthropist, and advisor to several chancellors. I remembered his wise words. Believe in people, they are everything. Do the right thing, even when nobody is looking. It's easy to be a good partner in good times, but be a good partner in bad times. Have skin in the game and always align interests. And I like this one. Stay curious. The race goes to those who persevere. Now, before we close, 2 members of my cabinet are retiring in the next few months. Greta Schnetzler, Chief Legal Counsel, and Keith Yamamoto, Special Advisor in Science Policy and Precision Medicine. They've served in my cabinet for my entire tenure as chancellor, and I thank them for their wise counsel and incredible contributions to UCSF. And finally, the person that introduced me, Lisa Cisneros, who has supported 14 State of the University addresses, including all 11 that I have given. And this wouldn't happen without Lisa and her team. So thank you, Lisa. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for joining us, and there is a reception upstairs and to the left. So thank you for being here.